So please, sir, tell me a bit about yourself and your company.
Hi, I'm Nick Felton. I'm the director of MHR Analytics. So we're a dedicated company focused on delivering solutions into our customer base around the analytics space, primarily business intelligence, forecasting, etc., working with the IBM business stack. We've been in the business for around about 10 years. We've got over around about 400 to 500 customers in the space, and we try and drive business value to our customer set across a multitude of sectors.
Business intelligence is quite a hot topic at the moment. It's interesting, everyone wants to drive a predictable outcome from their data. How do you do that specifically?
Yes, it is exceptionally hot at the moment. I think what's materialised mainly due to things like economic climates and stuff like that is people are starting to value the importance of data. So depending on which sector we're working on, we have many focus verticals that we've got specialists in. We tend to engage clients at a business level to drive business outcomes that are ultimately then driven by the technology that sits behind it as an enabler. So very focused on business outcomes, and we work with organisations to leverage as much value out of their data as possible.
So Nick, how does that practically work? So if I was a client of yours, how the practicalities of that?
Typically what we like to do is engage at the highest level of an organisation. The reason for that is that the further up an organisation, the bigger the sponsorship, it's typically the adoption of those outcomes that get driven then down into that team or area of the business. So we would typically start by engaging with the most senior person of the area of a business that we're working with to understand what their 3-5 year business strategies might be and what they want to achieve that, and then we work back into the detail of the data to then build that back up to deliver that insight over the next 3 to 5 years.
I mean, to the point of getting your understanding of the data across, would I be right in saying you have a bit of data here, whether it's ops data, sales data, forecast data, financial data, and you pull all that together for a meaningful outcome?
Absolutely, yeah, that's a very normal situation in many businesses. But as part of that, what people aren't doing is replacing their line of business systems because they're emphasising and focusing on the data, which gives them greater value. So the challenge of bringing data in from multiple data sources is quite a normal one, and typically we do that with our techniques and delivery model that we work with in terms of the customer, but it will be very much driven from what the business wants to measure, and then we'll go back and find the data to identify how we set about measuring that.
I mean, do you ever get any resistance and challenges from an end user organisation?
Absolutely, yeah, which is why it's critical that we get as high level sponsorship in an organisation, so it's almost mandated for change and adoption. And a very common one is even departments within organisations that don't speak to each other, HR and finance. Often we find we're the translator between the two, and even the relationship broker. So that can be a challenge as well, but absolutely pivotal for delivering data strategies across organisations.
And is there any one test case you can pull out the bag, so to speak, today to say we had that wow factor and that revolutionised someone's business? Was it?
Typically most things we do ends up with returns on investments and savings. So a recent one that's in line with a recent launch of a new product that's powered by IBM Cognos TM1 is a financial workforce planning solution that we work with Rotherham Metropolitan Council with, and they're forecasting that they will net somewhere in the region of about 300 man days in terms of automation savings, but more importantly now they can handle and model all of their costs linked to people and salaries from 1 year to 5 years to 20 years, which gives them a very clear indication of where their strategy is in terms of savings and where they are in terms of costs.
And do you think, I mean, in business intelligence, do you think it's more, people would employ that into their business for a cost saving or a revenue generation?
It could be both. Yeah, it could be both. Absolutely. I mean, on the cost saving side, it could be where processes are very manually orientated, a lot of manual Excel spreadsheets, and the time that's taken to actually collate that information. And on the other side, if you're getting strategic insight into your customers from a sales perspective, it can also drive revenue. So it's multifaceted in terms of the opportunity within an organisation.
And if I wanted to adopt your services, how would I do so?
If you wanted, I would be very happy to do so. We typically are out marketing quite a lot at industry stands. We're out in PR. We do a lot of PR stuff as well. So you'd come in and engage with the organisation through the sales process, and we would then typically come out and engage with you to understand your businesses and challenges, etc., to see if something that we could actually help achieve with you, and it may not in some instances.
And so how do you achieve world domination, Nick?
World domination. We, as part of our recent change and rebranding to MHR Analytics, the business has given huge emphasis and focus to this part of the business. So we've grown revenue-wise somewhere in the region of about 95% in the last year in the UK and Ireland market. And very much our plans in the next sort of 3 to 5 years will go to take this international in terms of the solutions we build as well, focusing on fixing business problems.